Well, thank you very much, everyone, and welcome here this morning. Effective on April 1st, 2025, Saskatchewan will now be a carbon tax-free province, the first carbon tax-free province in the nation of Canada. You've heard us say many times before over the last number of years that Saskatchewan is the home to some of the most sustainable products that you can find on Earth. We have in our province the most sustainable oil and gas industry in the world. We have a net zero oil company operating here in Saskatchewan, which we had the opportunity to highlight many times. I'm aware of no other net zero oil company operating anywhere across North America or anywhere on Earth for that matter. Our methane emissions in the oil and gas sector have dropped some 72% since 2015. I'm not aware of another industry globally that has a record of dropping their methane emissions by some 72% just in the last decade. Potash, 35% of the world's potash comes from this province, and it's produced with half of the emissions of our next largest competitors in other areas of the world. We also produce about 15 to 20% of the world's uranium, high-grade uranium, high-quality uranium, to be used in clean nuclear power in many other countries around the world, including Canada and the United States of America. And we want to produce more of that product, as we have a number of additional uranium mines that are going through and waiting for their federal regulatory approval so that they can begin construction sooner rather than later. We have a net zero copper mine that is under construction to provide minerals or elements not only of today, but elements that are crucial to powering our future right here in our province. I would say you point back to the opportunity we had at COP28 in Dubai to highlight not only all of these industries, but to highlight the industry that really is the spinal cord of the economy in Saskatchewan, and that is our agricultural industry, where the Global Institute for Food Security released a study that pointed towards the comparison of how our agri-food products are produced in Saskatchewan relative to our next 6 or 7 largest competitors globally. And what they found was our canola and our wheat are produced with a 65% lower carbon content than the next largest 7 competitors around the world. Peas and lentils were off the charts with respect to just how sustainably produced they were here in Saskatchewan, and by extending the technology and the innovation that we're using to other areas in North America and other areas of the world, we are producing more sustainable food due to the efforts of Saskatchewan companies. So as Canadians, where do we find ourselves today? As Canadians, we find ourselves in the midst of a federal election campaign. And given that the 2 major federal parties and their leaders have realized the very harmful impacts of the carbon tax, the harmful impact to families, to our investment environment, industrial investment environment, and ultimately the harmful impact in reducing the number of jobs and opportunities that Canadians have, and more generally, the harmful impact that it has to our economic growth in not just this province, but across the nation of Canada, we see each of those leaders now announcing plans to eliminate at least some of the cost of the carbon taxation policy that we've been subjected to for which will be 6 years, this April the 1st. So in that light, and taking that cue from the federal leadership candidates, Saskatchewan is taking the lead in our nation by reducing the industrial carbon tax rate charged in our province to 0. The industrial carbon tax rate, or the OBPS, is the quiet carbon tax. It's the carbon tax that we as Canadians don't always see, but we certainly all pay. We're in a very uncertain time as well as Canadians. We are facing as Canadians potential tariffs and some implemented tariffs in the steel and aluminum industry already today from our largest trading partner, the United States of America. We also in this province and throughout the Midwest, the prairie provinces are facing today the 100% tariff on canola and peas and pork and seafood in our Atlantic areas, the Chinese tariff that's been imposed due to a policy decision, in fairness, by our federal Liberal and supported by the NDP governments, a policy decision to protect the EV industry, the Canadian EV industry, which is at this point in time not employing anywhere near the number of people that are being employed in the canola industry and the other aforementioned industry. So what we are doing as a province is we're taking very decisive steps to ensure that our industries in Saskatchewan are more competitive and to protect the jobs today in those industries and protect the jobs that we want to attract in those industries into the future. And most importantly, protecting Saskatchewan families from inflationary costs due to unnecessary taxation. The decision that we're making today will foster an economic environment where industries can feel confident to make further investments into our province, and I would say into our nation, to increase the production that they have, to add value to the production that they have, to protect the jobs that are here today, and to protect the very families that are creating income from those jobs in industries across Saskatchewan. As I mentioned earlier, Saskatchewan is producing the most sustainable products that you can find on earth today. Those products are benefiting not only Saskatchewan families from an economic perspective, but by extension, very much are impacting Canadian families in a very positive way. And so we want to create an environment where we can create more of those sustainable jobs, Canadian sustainable jobs right here in Saskatchewan. Making our province a carbon tax-free province will provide us with the opportunity to do just that.
You son of a bitch.
So our ask on behalf of, I would say, not only Saskatchewan residents, but largely on behalf of Canadians, is that all federal leaders running in this federal election would support the position that we have put forward. Removing unnecessary taxes where you can, attracting investment, and creating more Canadian jobs and more Canadian opportunity in areas like Saskatchewan, where we have the most sustainable food, fuel, food, and fertilizer that you can find on earth. And our ask of the federal governments is to allow provinces to regulate in this space, regulate in this area without imposing their federal backstop. This will further strengthen, and I would say provide us with the opportunity to further unite as Canadians by supporting the economic diversity that we have in various provinces and various regions of Canada, and will provide us then collectively with an opportunity to grow economically and to grow as Canadians. This is an opportunity that I would say that the federal leadership candidates have to unite Canadians further, to make life more affordable for each and every Canadian and each and every Canadian family. Thank you.
Why this figure was in last week's budget, because it is a